school I wasn't really interested in poetry, though my teachers really did try. At school I wasn't at all interested in poetry, though my teachers really did try. One day we were read a poem by Percy Bysshe Shelley, and this was followed by a discussion on metre, metaphor and imagery, and the teacher asked if anyone had any questions, and I put up my hand and I said, "What the hell kind of middle name is Bysshe?" We had to go at writing poems as well. One day we had to write a shape poem in which the text of the poem is laid out on the page in the form of a shape, and the teacher took one look at mine and said, "What kind of shape is that?" And I said, "It's in the shape of a poem." So it's it's the day after Boxing Day. I'm still here in Brixham, and this is the rehearsal room where I've got most of my shows ready over the years, and anything else I've needed to practice or rehearse, because you can make as much noise as you like in here and no one will hear you. It's not connected to any other building apart from the garage, which Mum doesn't use, and it's warmed by the tumble dryer. So it's nice and cosy in here as well. So I'm working on Bouncer, which is the name of my new show, and at the moment it's all quite tentative because I quite like the story of the show. It's autobiographical. There's something a bit Spalding Gray-esque about it, the way it tells a story which gets madder and madder as it goes along, but it's all true. Yeah, I always have this self-doubt at this stage of a project that it will ever get anywhere further. In fact, I'm about 2 weeks behind learning it as well, because I had a cold for most of December. So I managed to learn the first song, the first bit of linking material, and just yesterday I finished learning the poem Zach, which is still fresh in my mind, so I'm really not even sure if it's in there yet. And today I'm working on the second bit of linking material, which is about Percy Bysshe Shelley and shape poems and the money that you don't make from poetry. So here we are. It's the middle of winter. It's the end of the year. It's the end of 2022. Next summer seems a long way off, but it's fun, I think. It's fun when you look back. It's also fun when you look forward, because you never know where things are going to go. Anyway, this is my video diary. I suppose I better get back to work. It's just procrastination, really, isn't it? As a kid, I wasn't at all interested in poetry, though my teachers really did try. One day we were read a poem by Percy Bysshe Shelley. One day we were... At school, I wasn't at all interested in poetry, though my teachers really did try. One day we were read a poem by Percy Bysshe Shelley, and this was followed by a brief discussion on metre, metaphor and imagery, and the teacher asked if anyone had any questions, and I put up my hand and I said yes. What the hell kind of middle name is Bysshe? So I don't know how I became a poet. I suppose at some point the dandruff just became so bad I thought I might as well go the whole hog and become a poet. Pen some odes. Ode to planet Earth. Ode to human endeavour. Ode to my landlord. 3 months' rent because there's no money in poetry. Well, I've been working on the show every day actually, sometimes as much as 2 or even 3 hours a day. I've been rehearsing it every moment I can get. I'm still only 5 pages in, but it's January. It's quite mild. It's very rainy, and I keep thinking about this show. I keep thinking about where I'm going to take it around the country. Like I'm thinking Bristol. I want to take it to. I've used a place there before called the Room Above, so I might see if I can hire it and see if 1 or 2 people might come out and watch. More of a scratch than anything else. I've applied to the Barnstable Fringe, or Theatre Fest as it's known, but that's pot luck. They take names out of a hat. If I don't get in there, I might ask for an alternative space there. I'm applying to Guildford Fringe, which I go to every year, and I'm thinking possibly of doing 2 shows there instead of 1. And I've applied to the Edinburgh Fringe with PBH. So that should be fun, because you just never know what you're gonna get venue-wise. I'd like to do it in Torbay somewhere. I might even hire a church hall, just invite some people and they can pay what they want on the door. And I might ask my friend John if he can film it, because it was great having a filmed version of Yay last time around. And I'm also looking at scratch nights in Exeter. So if there's a scratch night going on, which I went to last time with Yay, then yeah, I might give it a go this time. But as I say, the progress has been very slow. I've just learned a new poem from the show called, it's called You Should Write a Poem About That. And it took me exactly 8 days to memorise the whole poem. And that was a bit of a stretch because I was working on it all the time. So yeah, that's how it's going. It's January. At this rate, I reckon it's going to take 3 or 4 months to memorise the whole thing. It's raining, but I'm really looking forward to how it comes out, because I think this is probably the most accessible show I've done. So yeah, there we go. That's how it's going at the moment. Oh yeah, look at that weather. So it still comes as a surprise that I managed to make a career in poetry. I've met and worked with some wonderful people and travelled up and down the country. Like that time I was poet in residence at a charity which housed out of work poets in residence. Or that time I worked for a company that So it still comes as a surprise that I managed to make a career in poetry. I've travelled up and down this country and met some amazing people. Like that time I worked for a charity. Oh, for goodness sake. So it still comes as a surprise that I managed to make a career in poetry. I've travelled up and down the country and met and worked with some amazing people. Like that time I was poet in residence for a charity which housed out of work poets in residence. Or that time I worked for a company that placed writers in prisons. They were called Pros and Cons. But during all this time, I've always had this imposter syndrome. So it still comes as a surprise that I managed to make a career in poetry. I've met some amazing people and travelled up and down this country. Like that time I was poet in residence for a company which housed out of work poets in residence. Or that time I worked for a company that placed writers in prisons. They were called Pros and Cons. But during all of this time, I've just had this sense of imposter syndrome.
Exeter. I'm going to debut some of the material from the show tonight. So it's really scary because I have no idea how it's going to go. But I'm really looking forward to the whole process. Actually, I'm going to use the hour train ride to go over the lines one more time. So Exeter, here we come.
So yes, my name is Robert Garnham, and I am a poet. Yes, that's my label, poet. Ink-stained fingers, pockets full of rejection slips, and no firm plans for a Saturday night. Poet. My work has often been compared to that of John Betjeman, quite unfavourably. At school I had a different label, and that was dyslexic, closeted, aircraft-obsessed nerd, which meant I knew everything about civil aviation apart from how to spell it. But I wouldn't have said boo to a goose. That's the kind of kid I was. In fact, we lived in a council estate, so there weren't no gooses to say boo to. In fact, I'm not even sure I know what a goose is. If anyone's got a picture of a goose, they can show me afterwards and I'll have a gander. Dyslexic, closeted, aircraft-obsessed nerd. But I had another label when I was at school. In fact, I've still got that label now, and that's my name. And I always wonder if things would have been different if I had a more exciting name. I wear my name like a bad haircut, and Lord knows I've had plenty of those, like the curtain style I had in the 90s. My name now so passé as to be instantly beiged, and people tend to sidle away when they discover that my name is not Zach. Oh, how I'd love to be a Zach, and I'd act like a Zach, and smile like a Zach, and like every Zach I'd have a witty comeback, because Zachs are known for their snapback caps, super dry backpacks, slapjack snacks, and witty comebacks, and that blank Zach look when they discover that my name is not Zach, it's Robert. And we'd hang around in our Converse All-Stars and our Nike shorts, imploring people to just do it. Just do what? Whatever, man, because that's what Zacks do. Hang around with our fellow Zacks in a Zack-on-Zack queue and hit the sacks with other Zacks and talk about our ironic podcasts. And being with us would be such a pleasure that we'd be able to charge a Zack tax, because that's the tactic of every Zack. With our winning smile, we'd reach for the moon, but someone would give us the sun, because that's much more fun, and we deserved it because our name is Zack. This is the truth. It ain't no quackery. The things we pick up, this mental knick-knackery of being called Zachary. So sit back and see. Once you've been with a Zack, you can't go back. Please, let me in, Zacks. Oh, a name I'd love to have. A name I take pride in every time I say it, even though it's ever so slightly onomatopoeic, with its implications of something happening really, really fast. Then life would be different and more of a laugh, because I'd be called Zack. But instead, I'm called Robert. I've never been able to successfully rock a hoodie. I've never been able to pull off a baseball cap. There's a gaping chasm between fashion and the freakish affectations of a middle-aged wanker who's trying too hard, over which the name Zack is a bridge, a gaping crevasse of existentialist doom, and I've fallen right in. I've fallen right in, way down with the weight of being called Robert. And the Zacks look back, and the Zacks look back. Hey, should we just leave him? Who? Wasn't there someone here just now? Thank you very much. So thank you, Grim. And that was just a snippet of my new show, Bouncer, coming soon. Thank you.
I think it went okay. Didn't forget any of the lines, that's always a bonus. I enjoyed performing it. The audience laughed here and there. So, on the whole, I think it was a pretty positive experience. The show exists, it's alive. So yeah, progress was made today, definitely. Well, here I am in Bristol, and I had a lovely gig last night performing things, but I have been working very hard on the show for the last few weeks. I've learned, I think, probably over half of it now. I've got to some linking material which deals with my character taking his first steps up to London, and I'm really happy with the way the show's going. It had a poetic quality to the linking material which I never considered before, but I have rewritten bits of it. There's a poem called Faberanza, and I was looking ahead at the script, and I thought that Faberanza was too much like the other poem Who Wants Fame, with its similar kind of construction, and it's got the same kind of refrain in the chorus. So I decided to completely rewrite the whole thing, and I'm really, really pleased with how it's gone. So yeah, the show in Bristol last night didn't have any of the new show in it. So because of that, I did stop line learning and rehearsing for a little bit, but now I'm going to be back in it. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what this month brings. So yeah, Bouncer. It's actually real. On a cold January evening, I took a train from Devon to London. Can't remember the next bit. Everyone wants fame, the world to know your name. You get such rewards if you only take the... Oh, no. For me, the saddest story happened to my great uncle, a botanist. He spent the whole of his life looking after a very rare plant which flowered once every 2 days. Start again. For me, the saddest thing that ever happened to my great uncle, a botanist. He had a rare plant which flowered once for 2 days every 50 years, and for the whole of his adult life he looked after this plant. He watered it, fed it, gave it just the right amount of love and life. And then the bloody thing flowered when he was on a long weekend in Worthing. I had lots of phone calls and Zoom meetings with the producers over the next couple of weeks. They were all young and enthusiastic. And they said the beard poem was the funniest thing they'd ever seen, ever. And I started to believe them. One of the researchers had a beard, and I pointed out that it was quite a good one. And he said, yeah, just like the poem. Yes, indeed. I then had to get official permission for the clothes that I wanted to wear. Stripes were out, apparently, because stripes do something weird to a TV screen. No logos, no slogans, no brand names, no endorsements. No ankle bracelets. Ankle bracelets, I asked. Ankle bracelets. Apparently, Ant and Dom have a phobia of ankle bracelets. Really? I asked. Yes, we know. Funny, isn't it? I decided on this outfit and I sent them a couple of photos. "Oh, what about makeup?" I asked. "I do get eczema." "That's okay," they replied. We can edit that out in post-production. You can hear the lift in this room all the time. Hark, doth London linger? In lingering humdrum longer doth it linger? With that sweat tang white van traffic jam lingering in the humdrum London? River bridges, glower, tower block, chock-a-block, gridlock London? Overcast mellow weather, does it settle? Yellow smog, hacking, hackney cab London? London fun with traffic tang on the tongue, coming undone, I might succumb in lingering, loitering London. Sunday parks, car parks, cutty sark, torn apart, grab my heart, seedy humping in London fun parts. London looming in surly amid the hurly-burly, fog so swirly, never get there early in London. Sweaty set, sweat stains, train seat, sweat stains, tube strap hanging, sweaty armpit, sweat stains, tube strap, sweat stains, tube strap, pulsing veins, very much like the tube map. Mind the gap. Sweaty armpit blotch like map of Greater London. Drunken wine bum drunk on London. London low down, low life lurking. London terminus, ominous terminus, probably verminous, not clean since Copernicus. Charged by the hour, ever so sour, looming tower, and I hover likewise. I have the power, eardrum thrum in London. City, city, pretty scape, skyscraper, cityscape. Mass escape, city pretty, sitting pretty, cityscape. London undone, fun run, London. London squares and bars and fairs and cars and bears. Kick that burn, kicking in, floating high on fog bank, London. I hover, tentative, grey sky, square mile, London longer doth it linger, deep within my city, my thing, my history, my place, my dream, my London. Okay, so it's now February and I've been working on this show since about September. This is third month, entering the third month of trying to learn it, and it seems to be going really well. I think I am over halfway. I'll probably do a full run through sometime this week just to see how I'm getting on. But the big news is I have applied, I can't remember if I've already said, I've applied to the Edinburgh Fringe with the PPH Free Fringe, and I'm waiting to hear what they're going to offer me. I've applied to the Guildford Fringe, and they've said yes, so they're going to work on a date. I've had my publicity photos taken, I'm just waiting to receive those, and I'm really excited to see what they look like, and then I can make the posters and everything. And yesterday I entered the draw to become a part of the Barnstable Fringe Theatre Fest. They pick 18 companies from all those who apply, and then there's a reserve list. They sent an email last night to say I didn't make it into the 18. It was just names out of a hat. And I'm 22nd on the reserve list. So this very morning I applied to be in what they call the alternative spaces at the Barnstable Fringe, where they find a venue which isn't one of their usual venues. You're basically left to yourself to do the tech and everything like that. And I don't have much tech for this show, it's just me. So I've actually said yes to that. I've applied for 4 days, which might be a bit foolhardy, but we'll see. And yeah, I'm really excited to see how that's going to go. But yeah, the show is kind of taking over my life at the moment. I'm trying to rehearse, or rather line learn. I haven't even got to rehearsing yet. It's just line learning every spare moment I have. So at work, I get there get to work early and do like half an hour of line learning, and another half hour to an hour when I get home at night. So as you can imagine, not getting much free time. And it's February and it's bloody cold. So that's how it's going. This thing will come alive in the summer, I'm sure of it. I'm really looking forward to knowing it back to front. But at the moment, yeah, it's going okay. Well, I've actually amazed myself with the amount of the show which I've managed to learn. I think it's 21 pages and I've got 6 to go, so I'm really excited. But as ever, it's got to that stage now where I kind of wonder if it's any good, and wonder if anyone's going to want to come and see it, because I'm going to be hopefully touring this thing for a couple of years. So far, yeah, I've got the Guildford Fringe, the Barnstable Fringe, the Edinburgh Fringe. I'm going to try and get some dates in Bristol, Exeter, maybe London, I don't know. I've got this weird passion to go and perform in Englefield Green, the village where I grew up. And I've had some wonderful photos made by Emily. She's created the poster, which that's the image. It's going to be on the poster. But yeah, this whole thing's taken over my life in the last few months. In fact, it's been weird, because it's just been like the only thing in my life now for about 3 months. So it's just waking up, working on this, going to work, coming home from work, working on this at work, working on this on the way to work, working on this on the way to gigs. I've done a couple of gigs where I've done some of the material. So yeah, I'm just wondering if it's still wondering if it's any good, because I always feel this whenever I have something new. I just don't know which way it's going to go. Yeah. So anyway, that's how it's going at the moment, and today I'm going to be rehearsing all day. Really looking forward to how that pans out. Mr. Garnham, would you follow me, please? It felt like a hospital. The campest hospital in the world. St. Liberace's, and I was there for ego enhancement surgery. I was taken to another room and told to sit in front of a camera. Don't worry about the camera, they said, that huge, big camera. Pretend it's not there. Now all we need you to do is sit in front of that camera and introduce yourself to the millions who'll be watching on TV. Okay? Action. Hello, my name is Robert Garnham and I'm a comedy performance poet. Cut! That was brilliant. That was fantastic. That was the best we've seen this morning. Just Just one thing. Could you not say the word comedy? Okay? We'll go again. Action. Hello, my name is Robert Garnham, and I'm a performance poet. Cut. That was brilliant. That was fantastic. Oh, you've done this a few times, I can tell you. That was wonderful. Just one small thing though. Could you not say the word performance? Okay? We'll go again. Action. Hello, my name is Robert Garnham, and I'm a poet. Cut. That was brilliant. That was fantastic. That was the best we've seen ever. Just one thing though. We understand you work part-time in a shop. So could you just say that you work in retail, okay? And if anyone asks, anyone at all, just say that you work in retail, okay? Retail, that's the thing you've got to say, okay? We'll go again. Action. Hello, my name is Robert Garnham, and I work in retail. Well, it's March, forgot the month then, and the good news is I have finished learning the show, yes. And I kind of cheated a little bit at the end because I decided that the last poem would be one that I'd read out from a piece of paper on stage. But who cares? I've learned it, it's done, it's committed to memory, and I'm just going for a walk here in the woods just at the end of my road, and I am going to give it a full run through this afternoon, which I'm really looking forward to, and then hopefully get down to the rehearsing stage of the whole thing. So I'm really pleased with the progress, although it's taken, so I started learning it December the 1st actually, so 3 months. Yeah, December, January, February, 3 months and 8 days I think it's taken. So I've done it. I've learned the brand new show. Yeah, so now some real fun begins with the rehearsing, but it's been brilliant. I've really enjoyed the process. I was next taken to another room which had been set up to resemble backstage at the theatre. The real backstage is too small for filming, a young man told me. So we've created this fake backstage area. It's called the Reality Zone. The fake backstage area is called the Reality Zone, I asked. Yes, I know, funny isn't it? Not even ironically. No. Now listen, could you lean against this pretend box of lighting equipment and look a bit worried for the cameras for us? Well, it's the spring, it's the end of March, it's warm, it's quite pleasant actually. I've learned all the show, I think. Having said that, I've just rewritten the ending for the umpteenth time, so I'm going to quickly learn that one, or I might just read it as a poem, but it's done, it's learned. And it's been a weird 4 months because there's this weird kind of psychological, I don't know what you call it, like a block, imposter syndrome maybe, and I keep comparing it to other shows that I've done or other shows that I've watched, and I keep thinking it's probably not very good, but I think that's because I've been working on it flat out almost every day. I've been working on the show, and this like weird psychological barrier is there. It kind of tells you all the time that it's not good. no one's going to want to watch it, it's not as good as your other shows. And to make it worse, I did a gig on Wednesday at Torquay Museum. I did some bits of my old show and it felt really good, it felt really strong, and it made me think, oh yeah, is it as good as, is Bouncer as good as the old show? I don't really know. But I've been really busy. I've been working on the Edinburgh Fringe applications, and yeah, the show is learned. It's really scary. To think it's been almost 4 months, it seems quite weird, but it's learned. I've done it. The show is learned. It's all up here, and I'm going to be doing a rehearsal in a minute, but wow. Got a small sense of achievement, really, even though the hard work's about to begin, but still, I've done it. I've learned the show. Welcome to my show. Thank you for coming along. I hope you don't mind, it's not my usual thing to suddenly break into song. I've been working on this for a while. I hope it's not hit or miss. I've been worried all day that I'd hear people say, I wonder where he's going with this. But here we are together, and I love every one of you. Thank you for coming to my silly little show. If it's not funny, then please don't sue. Welcome to my show. I hope it puts me on the map. I may not be well known, though I'm getting in the zone. I can tell you're thinking, who is this chap? It's lonely up on stage, but it's my pleasure to be here. If you're thinking you won't get it, or it's highbrow stuff, don't worry, you've got nothing to fear. But here we are together, and I love every one of you. Thank you for coming to my silly little show. Without you, I don't know what I would do. Welcome to my show. There's such anticipation. I know what it's like at a poetry gig, thinking, I hope there's no audience participation. So everybody clap your hands once, or when I count to 5. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4. But here we are together, and I love every one of you. Thank you for coming to my silly little show. Thank you for coming to my silly little show. Thank you for coming to my silly little show.